Hi, I'm Morgan Doremus with RT Book Reviews, and today I'm joined by Mark Coker, who is the founder of Smashwords. And as we all know, Smashwords is the digital distribution for self-publishing authors. And your platform is one of those where authors can come to your website, they can upload their stories, and they can sell them from anywhere from 0 to infinity.
We have a couple books that are priced at $1 million. I don't think they're going to sell very well.
And it really is a site where you bring authors the tools that they need to really self-publish and get themselves out there. And the reason you founded it is because you found that the big publishing houses in New York, you were actually rejected. I hate to use that word, but it's true. And because they just weren't serving your needs. Can you tell me a little bit about that story and what you felt that you could do better?
Sure. Well, I wear our rejection as a badge of honor. So my wife and I wrote a novel about 8 years ago called BoobTube, and we were represented by one of the top literary agencies in the country, Distel and Goderich, and after 2 years they were unable to sell the book to a major publisher. And the common thread of feedback from the publishers was that previous soap opera themed books had not performed well in the marketplace, or previous soap opera themed novels. And our novel is, explores the dark underbelly of the daytime television soap opera industry. So as you might imagine, it was pretty frustrating to have a publisher slam the door in our face, and it was our agent who suggested we consider self-publishing. And the more I thought about it, the angrier I got that publishers had all this power to decide what writers had the right to publish and what readers had the right to read. So I thought there must be a better solution, and the solution, in my mind, was to throw technology at the problem. And so the initial idea for Smashwords is that we would create an online publishing platform that would make it fast, free, and easy for any writer anywhere in the world to instantly publish an ebook and sell it for a price that they wanted to sell it at. And then we would turn the compensation model upside down and pay them 85% of all the proceeds, so completely reversed from what the traditional publishing model is. Because I felt that if we gave writers the freedom to publish what they want, gave readers the freedom to read what they want, then readers would decide what books are worth reading. Readers would decide what books would go on to become the bestsellers. That's the way the business has always worked anyway. It's all about the readers. The readers decide. And books should not be judged solely on commercial merit, and that's one of the primary problems that I see with traditional publishing. They're looking to acquire books that are similar to what was selling well yesterday so they can turn around and publish those books in a year and a half, and they publish books that they think have a large commercial potential, but they don't really know what's going to sell. In the meantime, they're rejecting all these books, all these wonderful books that might have a potential audience of only a few hundred readers, but for those few hundred readers, those books have the potential to change their life. Those books deserve to be published. If you have an audience of one, your book deserves to be published.
I have a number for you. I want you. What does this number mean to you? 4,288,585,575. Do you know what that number is?
I think that's the number of words published at Smashwords.
That is the number of words published at Smashwords. You started in 2008. It's only a few years later, and you're looking at the billions for words on your site for readers to find. That to me is just, I can't even wrap my head around where you started and now where you're at. What do you think? What happened? What happened?
Wow. Well, that is a huge number. The first year that we launched, we published 140 books. We thought that was fantastic. The second year, 6,000. The third year, 28,000. We ended last year with 92,000. We're over 110,000 today. I think that I was lucky. Very early on, after that first year, even though we only published 140 books, and even though, on a great day, we're only selling $5 worth of books, I had faith that the world would come around, that self-publishing was the future, that the power in publishing is shifting from big publishers to the individual author, and that's where the power belongs. Authors are in control now. They have more opportunity to reach more readers than ever before. I think what we created, and with some luck, we helped surface just unlimited opportunity for authors to get out there and express themselves and to have a chance, to have a shot. And it's really gratifying to see that some of our authors have gone on to become huge bestsellers, and that we've helped so many authors realize so many dreams. And it's not necessarily just about becoming bestsellers. You know, we get emails, you know, every week from authors just thanking us for giving them a shot, giving them an opportunity to have their book published. After years of rejection, they can finally get their book out there. And we hear from authors all the time that thanks to Smashwords, they're writing again. And that, I mean, that just, I can almost get choked up thinking about that, because that's just, you know, for anyone who loves books and who loves writing and honors that process, this is just such an exciting time.
Here at the RT Convention in Chicago, you gave a phenomenal panel, and it was all about the numbers. It was a numbers game, where what you did is you took statistics from your site, what was selling, what readers are wanting, the prices, things like that, and you broke it down so we could all understand it and understand the numbers. And there was a few things that I wanted to talk about. One of them was something I don't think was a surprise to anyone, which was if you give away something for free, you're gonna find an audience. And I think everyone was kind of like, okay, that makes sense. If my book is $0, then people are going to download it. So that's not a surprise. However, I was surprised when you started talking other prices, because you talked about how the 99-cent book, the $1.99 book, actually doesn't sell as well as maybe the $4.99 price book. Can you talk a little bit about the pricing structure and some of the surprises that you found?
Sure. Well, we took a look at about six months of data covering millions of book sales at different price points for over 50,000 authors across all of the different retail channels that we distribute to. And we wanted to understand, what the numbers really meant. So what price points would yield the authors the most earnings? What price points would yield the most downloads? Because I think this, information is power, and if we can provide that information to the authors and help them be more successful, then we're all more successful. What we found is that 99 cents and $1.99 are kind of black holes. From a yield perspective, how much money you're going to make on average for that title, that is not the place to price your book on average. Now, of course, there are exceptions, and that's one thing I hope I hammered out yesterday, that we're looking at averages, we're looking at typical experiences, but your results may vary. But what I found is that the $2.99 to $5.99 range is really the sweet spot that authors should be looking at. That's where you get the highest yield for your books. You may sell more units at a lower price, but you're not necessarily going to earn more money. And I also suspect that a lot of authors are underpricing their books, pricing them unnecessarily too low. I think it's a more successful strategy to price it $2.99 to $5.99 and then have one title that you give away for free. That we found that free titles are downloaded on average 100 times more than paid titles at any price. So free is a great platform building opportunity, and because when you make something free, you eliminate all the financial risk that's involved in a reader taking a chance on an unproven author. And then once they read your work, once they learn that you're a fabulous writer, they're going to seek out your other works that have a price on them. And if they love your writing, they're not really going to care if you're $3.99 or $4.99 or $5.99. If you're that good, you're going to get that price. One of our best-selling authors, Brian Pratt, he writes epic fantasy. His books are all priced at $5.99. All his books are over 140,000 words, and the first book he gives away for free.
And that seems to just that seems kind of
It's magic.
Yeah, it's magic. I like that. Well, he writes magic, so I guess it works, right?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of word count, I was also surprised when you were talking about what sells the best, and we're talking over 100,000 words, because I'm a big short story reader. I love novellas, and I was like, oh, the longer stories really do sell better. Did that surprise you at all?
Yes, it did. When ebooks first came on the scene, a lot of people made the assumption that people reading ebooks on their cell phones and the devices would have shorter attention spans and that shorter form content would do better. But what we found when we crunched the numbers and actually look at what's selling and what's earning authors the most money, it's the longer form content. So we found that about 90% of our top 10 bestsellers across our catalog are over 110,000 words. And when we plotted it out, when we looked at the top 10, the top 20, top 40, top 100, top 1,000, what we see is that the word count drops the further you go out on the curve. So it shows that there's definitely a reward if you put more words in that book. But again, this data can be dangerous if you misinterpret it. It doesn't mean that if your ideal book, if you wrote your book and it's 90,000 words, that you should pad it with an extra 30,000 words. In the end, it's all about the book. If you write a short story, and we do have titles that sell really well that are short stories, if you wrote that super fabulous story, then don't worry about the word count. But the data does provide some interesting guidance. If you're concerned that you're at 120, 140,000 words and maybe you're too long, maybe too long by traditional standards, but not too long by readers' standards. If your words are worth reading and if the reader enjoys being immersed in your world, then it doesn't matter if you're 100,000 words or 300,000 words.
That is a really, really good thing to know, because I know a lot of authors have questions, especially if you're not using an agent or you're not using, a publisher, that you're a little bit on your own. So having this information, I think, can be really, because right now self-publishing, it's sexy. You hear about these great stories, you hear about these people that are selling millions of units that are becoming, bestsellers and everything. But the truth is something you brought out was most authors that self-publish will sell on average one book a month, which you call hamburger money? You get lunch once a month?
Yeah, I didn't say what the average is, but if you are selling one book a month, you're doing better than some. We have a lot of authors that don't sell a single copy, and we go out of our way to help writers understand that it's very difficult to sell any book. Even if you wrote a super fabulous book, it's very difficult to reach readers. So you should keep your expectations very low. There's only a very small number of bestsellers, and the rest of us occupy some place on that long tail where we're not selling well or as well as we think we should. But the good news in all this is that when you publish an ebook, when you self-publish an ebook, that book is immortal. You always have time in the future to find more readers. You have time for that book to develop. You have time to improve that book. Maybe you decide that your book's cover image doesn't properly resonate with your target audience, so you can upload a new cover image. Maybe you think you priced it too high or too low. You can change the price. You can do a temporary promotion and price the book at free if you want to build your platform or get reviews at the major retailers. So there's so many different things. I referred to them as viral catalysts. Imagine your book as having dozens, possibly hundreds of little levers and dials that you can turn and modify and tweak. And all of these little levers, if you tweak them just the right way, make your book more accessible, more enjoyable, and more available to readers. And in combination, all of these little tiny things that you can do and that you need to do right can help you develop virality, help you develop that word of mouth that you need to go on to sell well, because in the end, it's all about your readers. The best marketing secret is to write a book that markets itself, to write a book that touches the reader's soul so that they love the book, they love you as an author, and they want to tell all their friends and family to read your book so they can be touched by the same.
I know that you have your own ebook out, which is you're giving your advice on how to, properly self-digital publish. Do you want to give us some information on where that can be found?
Sure. Just a few weeks ago, I released my latest ebook. It's called The Secrets to Ebook Publishing Success. So in that book, I identify 28 different best practices of the most commercially successful Smashwords authors. And so it's priced at free. I want everyone to take it and share it with their friends. Steal it, give it away, post it on the pirate sites, I don't care. I want as many people to read it as possible, because it's really all about helping writers become more professional publishers, helping them be more successful at reaching readers, and achieving whatever their dream is.
That's great. And specifically for the RT Book Reviews audience, I know that we have a lot of romance writers out there. Romance does very well on Smashwords. So I think just as a parting shot, we want to say, if you want to self-publish Smashwords for erotica, for romance, for a great historical read, Smashwords is definitely a place you want to go, because they're great sellers.
That was a really interesting finding that I didn't really expect. I looked at romance versus the our entire catalog, and romance titles sell twice as good on average as the rest of our titles. That doesn't mean that you just publish a romance title at Smashwords and it's you're instantly making lots of money, but you have a leg up.
The audience is there.
The audience is there. It's not just at Smashwords.com, our small retail operation, but that audience is out there at all the major retailers. I think romance writers have really led this ebook revolution. Yeah. Romance readers have led the revolution. Romance readers are voracious readers. I mean, these are the readers who can read a book a day. I mean, I can't even fathom reading that quickly. I'm such a slow reader. But ebooks are ideal for them. Ebooks offer immediate availability, discoverability, and download and enjoyment. At the click of a button, you can start reading a book.
At the click of a button, smashwords.com. Thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Thanks, Morgan.